when Chris Scheller shared the Ocean's children's story from the Quinault peoples of Western Washington State for us to discuss and adapt for the children's pageant, I noticed right away the primordial state of the world in this story, according to this sacred mythos, was dry. So different from the creation story of Genesis, which says right away, if you may remember this, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. So that's already there. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. So water, again, is always there in the original moment of being. It was interesting. The second thing that captured my attention was this idea, the central idea of this story, that the ocean, that this great earth element, is the father of children. A signal that the people telling this story over the generations had inherited a concept of creation as a network of relationships, creation as family, instead of the concept of creation that Westerners from the Jewish and Christian heritage have inherited, which is the one sovereign deity who can do whatever he likes with creation and do whatever he wants with it, and who assigns humankind a role as kind of a chief manager of the whole thing. So just think for a moment about how different those two foundational creation concepts would create completely different cultures and societies. The Lakota phrase, mitakuye oyasin, is translated as all our relations. And that is a phrase that kept coming into my mind while doing a close reading of the Quinault story. It expresses the connectedness of creation, that kind of extended family, all our relations. For the indigenous people who inherited this way of seeing the universe, it is possible to imagine the great ocean as a loving parent and considerate friend who only wants to oblige anxious human beings who rely on water for their survival, but who also misses his children, clouds and rain, when they stay away for too long. So I was thinking, the ocean, I think of ocean as Mama Ocean, Great Mama Ocean. That's just like my concept. So I wonder, does she grieve her lost species? The sea cow, the sea mink, the New Zealand grayling, the Caribbean monk seal, all now extinct due to humans. Creation as relational, related family. And as we heard earlier from theologian Sallie McFague, the world itself as the very body of God. What a beautiful idea, a radical idea, that we're not just walking on holy ground in some places, houses of worship for one, or places in nature that seem to be untouched and unmarred by the presence of humans with our innovations, our pollutions, our technology, our noisy neediness and fears, but everywhere a holy ground. Everywhere connecting, embraced with a part of the body of the creative, eternal, and inextinguishable power that remakes the world, that I give the nickname God, and that in the original revelation of the Jewish and Christian religions wants to be in relationship and covenant with humans, and chooses through the person of Jesus to take on human form and experience life as a person. That is the Christian revelation of Christmas, the traditional interpretation. Samuel Clemens was the writer that you may know who wrote under the pen name Mark Twain, wrote very funny, wonderful American literature. Huck Finn, Tom Sawyer, was a humorist. He was famously irreverent and outright sarcastic about religion and the concept of God. But I was so surprised to find my colleague James Ishmael Ford, who's a Unitarian Universalist Buddhist, shared with me a surprising dream that Mark Twain recorded in his diaries. And so I'm going to let James tell it. In his 1897 book, Following the Equator, Clemens writes, "In Sydney, I had a large dream. And in the course of talking, I told it to a missionary from India who was on his way to visit some relatives in New Zealand. I dreamed that the visible universe is the physical person of God, that the vast worlds that we see twinkling millions of miles apart in the fields of space are the blood corpuscles in God's veins, and that we and the other creatures are the microbes that charge with multitudinous life the corpuscles." In short, Mark Twain is saying that he dreamed, that in his dream he felt from somewhere deep within that the universe is God, and we are the life force of God. I would add, the consciousness of God. And notice that he didn't call it merely a dream, he called it his large dream of great significance for this atheist humorist. A very beautiful vision. Because the books that make up the Hebrew and Christian scriptures known as the Bible are often read mostly or even only for commandments, prophetic teachings about how to save one's soul and how to change society, it's very easy to miss the enchanted and ensouled world that they also depict, the world as body of the divine. There isn't any Father Ocean or Mother Ocean in the Bible, but there are rocks and stones that cry out with joy, skies that open and pour forth music, animals that play starring roles in morality tales. You think of the whale in Jonah. We think of the donkey bringing Jesus into Jerusalem, but there's also a Hebrew scripture story of an ass confronting his person who's pushing him around and saying, you know, knock it off. I see an angel right here in front of me. That's why I'm not moving forward. So animals as these enlivened beings, doves, gazelles, trees, plants, and herbs included by name feature in the Bible as characters in stories also. Lilies of the field, almond trees, fig trees who get cussed out for not blooming, vineyards, sisters, brothers, extended family, all our relations. It's in there too. Last night, I attended a holiday party. We gathered outside around a fire pit, brother fire flaming up and warming us, spitting cinders at us, smoking me so much that I had to wash my hair again in fear that I would set off the smoke alarm walking into church this morning. The air moved around us, cold and snappy. The stars shone brilliant against the sky, visible even in competition with the festive holiday lights beaming all over the city. We call it light pollution, but I can't think of it that way, driving through the neighborhoods of twinkling displays. They are meant to cheer, to remind us that the light is coming back, and we have the solstice this Wednesday. Yay. They remind us that we need bright gatherings and bustle and baking and embodied ways of showing that we love one another, not because we are sinful and in need of saving, yeah, we are, but mostly because we are part of each other, related. And what happens to the body of one of us, and haven't we learned this over the past couple of years, happens and reverberates throughout the community of all of us. We are not just individual bodies, traveling solo and scared in our suits of flesh. But we are earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. Boundaried, yes, but one embodied entity sharing the body of God.
Our closing reading this morning comes from Rebecca Parker, and it's called "You Have to Know Your Body as the Home of God." You have to know your body as the home of God. And this is the purpose of Christmas. The rose blossoming in the wilderness is the unfolding of your pleasure as the fingers peel an orange and sweetness buds in the mouth. The bright star in the night sky is the sudden clarity of your instinct for joy. The birth cry in the night is your child, falling into the dark and your arms holding her. The terror of Herod's murderous intent is your rage that would prefer death to change. The singing angel is your voice at church, not sure of the tune, but certain for a moment that there is glory. The animals breathing their warm breath in the fragile stable are your emotions, kneeling into the body of earth, at ease in the presence of God. Mary is you, God in your body. Joseph is you, sheltering God in the world. This is the key to the mystery. The Word became flesh. We are the dwelling place.